In the early 1400s, China possessed one of the largest and most sophisticated fleets on Earth. Admiral Zheng commanded enormous expeditions across the Indian Ocean, carrying thousands of sailors to Southeast Asia, India, Arabia, and East Africa. But what if one Chinese fleet sailed east instead of west? What if China reached and permanently settled the coast of California nearly a century before Columbus crossed the Atlantic? Our alternate history begins in 1421. After returning from another successful voyage, Zheng convinces the Ming Emperor that China should explore beyond Japan. A fleet sails into the northern Pacific, following islands and favorable currents eastward. The journey is brutal. Storms destroy several ships. Food spoils. Hundreds of sailors die. But months later, the survivors finally see land. They have reached the coast of what will one day become California. The Chinese do not discover an empty wilderness. They encounter indigenous communities connected through extensive networks of trade. Along the northern California coast, goods such as shells, obsidian, and stone already move between coastal and inland peoples. At first, neither side understands the other. The newcomers arrive with enormous wooden ships, metal tools, porcelain, silk, gunpowder, horses, and unfamiliar diseases. The local peoples possess detailed knowledge of the land, fisheries, weather, plants, and coastal waters. Zheng sailors are too far from China to conquer anyone. They need food, shelter, and allies, so they trade. Chinese iron tools are exchanged for fish, animal hides, baskets, medicinal plants, and information about the coastline. When storms damage the fleet, several hundred sailors remain behind to repair their ships. Then an imperial message arrives from China. The government has changed. Overseas voyages are being abandoned and the fleet is ordered home. Most sailors leave, but the settlement remains. Its inhabitants build a fortified harbor near San Francisco Bay. They call it Donghai, meaning Eastern Sea. The colony is small and vulnerable. Without regular support from China, it survives by forming alliances with nearby indigenous communities. Intermarriage becomes common, and a new society develops that is neither completely Chinese nor indigenous. Wooden Chinese buildings are redesigned for California's climate. Local canoes are constructed using metal tools. Chinese characters are adapted to record unfamiliar languages and place names. Rice struggles in the dry environment, but settlers successfully grow millet, vegetables, peaches, and tea in fertile valleys. California crops and medicinal plants begin traveling west across the Pacific. Most importantly, the settlement preserves shipbuilding knowledge. By the late 1400s, Donghai sends its own vessels to China, Japan, and the Philippines. The Pacific becomes a trading highway decades before Europeans arrive in the Americas. Then, in 1542, Spanish explorers reach California. They expect an isolated coastline. Instead, they find a fortified port filled with tiled roofs, Chinese-style ships, indigenous marketplaces, and bronze cannons. Spain is stunned. The Chinese Californians possess horses, firearms, and warning networks stretching far inland. They are also protected by alliances with numerous indigenous communities. Spain cannot simply declare the territory empty and claim it. The first encounters are tense but profitable. Spanish silver from Mexico is traded for Chinese silk and porcelain. California becomes the center of a new Pacific economy, linking China, Japan, Mexico, and the Philippines. But trade soon becomes rivalry. Spain establishes settlements in Southern California, while Donghai expands north and inland. Both powers compete for ports, farmland, and alliances. Indigenous nations are not passive observers. Some trade with both sides. Others use Chinese and Spanish weapons to defend their territories. Several form powerful confederations capable of playing the two colonial systems against one another. Because foreign contact begins gradually, epidemics still cause enormous suffering, but diseases spread in separate waves rather than arriving through one sudden conquest. By the 1600s, Western North America is divided among Chinese-speaking coastal cities, Spanish settlements, and independent indigenous nations. Then England, France, and Russia arrive. Instead of finding an open frontier, they encounter an established Pacific world. When English colonists build settlements along the Atlantic coast, they hear rumors of wealthy cities beyond the mountains where Chinese ships fill the harbors. The future United States develops very differently. After gaining independence from Britain, the new nation begins expanding westward. But there is no simple Louisiana to Pacific march. Donghai has grown into the Pacific Kingdom, a wealthy state controlling much of coastal California and parts of Oregon. Its population speaks a blended language influenced by Chinese and several indigenous languages. Its government combines Confucian administration, merchant councils, and agreements with allied nations. When American settlers crossed the continent during the 1800s, they reach an international border. War appears inevitable. Instead, the discovery of gold creates chaos. Migrants arrive from America, China, Europe, Mexico, and across the Pacific. The Pacific Kingdom cannot keep them out, but it is too powerful to be conquered easily. California becomes an independent commercial republic rather than an American state. By the modern era, North America contains at least three major powers: the United States in the east, Mexico in the south, and a Chinese-influenced Pacific Federation in the west. San Francisco may be called Donghai City. English, Mandarin, Spanish, and indigenous languages are spoken across the coast. Asian immigration is not treated as a late arrival to American history. It has shaped the continent from the very beginning. And the Pacific, not the Atlantic, may become the center of global power centuries earlier. All because one Chinese fleet sailed toward the sunrise and never completely returned home. So, would an early Chinese settlement have created a more connected Pacific world, or simply begun another struggle for control of North America? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this alternate history scenario, subscribe to What If for more stories about how one voyage could completely rewrite the world. Thanks for watching.